is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco. Now, your hosts, Voch Lombardi, Nick Harris, Bobby Belt, Tommy Yarrish, and Kyle Youmans.
Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, and we are 93 days away from the NFL Draft in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome into the Draft Show presented by Miller Lite here from the SWBC studios at the Star in Frisco with Voch Lombardi, Nick Harris, Tommy Yarrish, soon to be joined by Bobby Belt. I'm Kyle Youmans. Chris Beam in the back as always. Welcome in, everybody, as we continue on our draft process and draft show this season. It's going to be an exciting week across the board, gentlemen, because we get to see some draft prospects in the building the next couple days as a part of the Shrine Bowl later this week. We'll preview the Shrine Bowl a little bit more in depth on Thursday, take a look at the Senior Bowl, which starts next week, and we get into these all-star games that get to tell us a little bit more about what we're talking about.
So are we allowed to go to those practices, or are we going to be doing podcasts? Like, what the rule is?
You need a credential.
Who I got to talk to?
We can make that happen.
You can talk to a person that can talk to a person?
I'm the one that submits it, so yeah, just let me know. If you want to go to the practice, let me know.
And I always submit credentials late. I submitted mine late again for Shrine Bowl, and they approved me, so you're good.
It's going to be an outdoor practice?
No, indoor.
Inside?
Yeah,
The Star, right
Center.
here. Same place.
building.
Come on now.
I might pop
you
out.
got a badge. There's Bobby.
I might pop out of one of them, man.
Pop out and come say hi.
I ain't come. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be some great practices, man. I'm thrilled to see the one-on-ones. I'm always excited to see folk emerge. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Bobby?
What's up?
It's always good to see folks emerge.
Wow.
Welcome.
Coffee's pumping this morning.
Yeah.
Projecting. They teach you that in theater.
Yeah. That's all of it.
Theater.
No, welcome in. And, yeah, I think the Shrine Bowl practices are going to be interesting this year because it's a lot of where Dallas is probably going to be picking without a day 2 pick. They're going to look at a lot of those day 3 guys that are going to be participating in the Shrine Bowl, and that's where I think a lot of the focus is going to be. And we've even seen that over the last few weeks because a couple of position coaches are going to be part of the coaching staff. Lunda Wells, head coach of one of the 2 teams, which he's, of course, the tight ends coach with Dallas and has been a part of it. But I'm messing with my box down here. All my stuff got unplugged.
Huh?
So,
Sorry?
Nick, please just let me know what's going on whenever it comes to your prepreration for the draft show.
Hold on.
Yeah?
What'd you say now?
beg your
What'd you say?
There is a mic box down here that is not working. So,
Mike did what? All right, go ahead, Mick. Save him.
I didn't even hear the question.
yeah, please save me.
Nah, talk about Shrine
Talk
Bowl,
about
nigga.
Shrine Bowl.
Talk
What
about
are
Shrine
you excited to watch?
Please say
dude?
something about Shrine Bowl.
Yeah, Shrine Bowl. I am excited for this Shrine Bowl. I think it's one of the better rosters that they've been able to put together over the course of the last few years. I'm just going to throw a couple names out there. Anthony Lucas, the edge rusher out of USC. Excited to see him. Patrick Payton out of LSU's had a interesting career up and down. I'm excited to see what he could do here during this draft process. Another guy who's very similar and somebody I know Tommy could speak on is DJ Campbell out of Texas. Their starting right guard over the course of the last 3.5 seasons. He's had really high highs and really low lows, and so I'm excited to see what he looks like during the draft process. And I think he's a guy that could be there at the top of day 3. And if this team moves on from TJ Bass and or Brock Hoffman, then they're going to need that depth guard. And I think DJ Campbell has the potential to be that, even the potential to be a starter one day, in my opinion. Him and then Armaj Reed Adams, the guard out of Texas A&M. Those are 2 in-state guards that I'm excited to look at. But there's a ton of guys in this game that I am excited. Damani Jackson is a former top 5 overall recruit. Went to USC originally and then transferred to Alabama. Has had a fantastic career with the Crimson Tide. But there's been, again, really high highs, really low lows. And that's kind of the story of a lot of these Shrine Bowl guys. So I'm excited to see what they look like all-encompassing.
Yeah, to kind of bounce off of that with DJ Campbell, the vibe that I've gotten from him from folks at Texas and around the league is that there's just too many inconsistencies, right? There for big games, he plays really well. I think you've seen that over the course of his career at Texas. He gets up for those games and he plays really well. But it's kind of everything in between that, do you wonder, do you get a little bit more in some areas than you do in others? But he's a physical player. He'll get you at the point of attack. Very strong in the run game. He can hold up in pass protection. But again, it's just a matter of consistency. He's one of those guys that you want playing next to you on the offensive line because of the violence that he plays with and kind of the oomph that he's got to him. But are you going to get that every snap? I think that's something that he has a chance to really prove. Another guy that I'm really excited to see, and Nick and I know him very well, Harold Perkins from LSU, one of these linebackers that has kind of been in that Jalen Walker mode of like, okay, do you keep him at linebacker? Is he a pass rusher? Do you just kind of let him get after the quarterback? his freshman year at LSU, this guy looked like he was going to be a perennial All-American player because of how quickly he got after the quarterback and how violent he was able to be in the backfield and just disrupt plays. Then he has an injury in his sophomore season, and or was it his junior season?
Sophomore, yeah.
Sophomore season. I think he tore his ACL.
I'm sorry, it was junior. Sophomore, they moved him to play more in the box, and everyone was like, what are they doing?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
It kind of took him out of position, didn't make as much of an impact. Then he tears his ACL in his junior season and ends up playing okay in his senior year. You know, the question with him is going to be, can you see flashes of that explosiveness and getting into the backfield? And can you see him do some of the linebacker stuff?
I love this linebacker group here for the Shrine Bowl. And
really
I've commended this linebacker class overall. I'm a big fan of this linebacker class. But just looking at the Shrine Bowl specifically, Lander Barton out of Utah, love that kid. I think he's a multi-year contributor to any defense that he gets drafted to. Jake Golday out of Cincinnati, very fascinating one. I need to do more study on him, but a lot of draft experts that I respect him. You mentioned Harold Perkins, and then Torian York out of Texas A&M. Had the pleasure of covering this kid when he was coming through the high school and early college ranks. And if this team is looking for a day one captain type, that is Torian York. He's gonna be a head coach in high school or college one day if he pursues that route. But as far as on the field, tackling machine, he understands gap discipline. He understands coverage across the middle. The only thing is he's probably about 5'11", 6 foot best case. And so that's going to be a fascinating experiment with Torian York. But I think in this type of setting in the Shrine Bowl, he should shine.
And I remember York, I called one of his games in high school, and I remember talking to his coach, and he said, "This is the smartest player I've ever been around." Yeah. And I think that's translated to Texas A&M.
What high school?
Temple High School out in Central Texas.
254, Super Syntax.
Same as Quentin Johnston a couple years ago. And me and you called that game together.
That's right, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Wow,
That was
what
a lot
a
of fun.
moment.
But yeah, he was originally going to Baylor, and then for whatever reason, last second, flips to Texas A&M, and that was the best thing the Aggies could have done. This guy's been in the middle of their defense for the last 3 years. He's been a fantastic caller of the defense there. Again, he doesn't have the size. He doesn't have your typical NFL linebacker size, but he makes up for it with his instincts, and he's just an overall just a really good player.
Yeah, you got also see we need a receiver around here, right? Like that's what we're really looking for is a good receiving threat.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking for, Nick. I don't know why you're making faces. That's how you win in this league. You win with 4 receivers deep. That's what you do. Malik Benson, Oregon, very impressive player at the Shrine Bowl. I'm just saying we're also here to talk about draft in general. I'm just saying players that I'm actually excited to see there. You already touched on the one that I was mainly focused on, which is Jake Golday from Cincinnati. That's the big one. But Malik Benson, the transfer portal king, 4 programs in 4 years. Marcus High School up here. What are you pointing at Marcus for?
J. Michael Sturdivant.
But I'm worried about Malik Benson.
I'm just saying, if we're talking receivers, you got to make
sure, of course, yeah. No, we're all Marcus. Although we just moved to Louisville, so there's there's
do you need
tension.
Like a farmer's
There's just
hat
tension.
now?
I think that's developing there for me with Marcus High School. Although I still show love there. But Malik Benson, huge vertical threat, and somebody who has real top end speed. It's just it is the constant transfer portal. He was community college at first, then he went to Alabama, then he was Florida State, got the extra year of eligibility, ended up at Oregon, but was a great vertical threat for Oregon this year. So that's another one that I'm excited to see.
That was the most Bobby scouting report I've ever heard. He started it with a tongue-in-cheek statement about drafting a receiver in Dallas, and then it's like, I don't care about that, and then gives Malik Benson.
Well, I started doing the bit, and then Nick looked like he was taking it very seriously. So I was like, I got to be clear that I'm doing a bit here.
My bad. This is a fascinating receiver class, too, and Caden Wetjen out of Iowa.
What is that name?
Caden Wetjen. He is
Dude, you gotta chill.
a hot take.
I'm trying to learn these names. It's the draft show.
Hot take right here. Bold take.
I don't know.
Who's Jen?
Caden Wetjen is going to have a punt return touchdown in the game.
Wow.
This is a special teams demon. He's going to be a lot of fun. Noah Thomas is a big body out of Georgia. Started his career at Texas A&M. I'm trying to just power through the bit. Kendrick Law is one of the fastest players in this class. I think when combine time rolls around, you'll see Kendrick Law out of Kentucky lay down a pretty good time.
And if we're talking about receivers, we also have the FBS's second leading receiver playing at the Shrine Bowl. That would be Skylar Bell.
What name is it?
Skylar Bell.
Okay, Skylar
Not
Bell.
much you can do there, but
I'm just learning names.
2,878 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 101 catches this year for
Big time.
the Yukon Huskies. How about that?
Oh, go Huskies.
Yeah.
Jim.
He is a fun player.
Football school.
He can play inside and outside, too. He's got some slot abilities. He can play on the boundary, too. He's
I
good.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Fun players. Anybody else? What are you looking at, Voch? Anybody over there?
Kyle, I've been particularly quiet because I just follow my board, right? I got about 50-something, 60-something people watched.
Okay.
but the Shrine Bowl is like a top 300 affair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just haven't.
There's got to be one or two guys that you've watched out of that group.
What'd you say, the Wet Gin, the boy? What the name is?
Caden Wetgen.
I've seen of Caden Wet Gin.
Okay.
I don't have a report on it because I start at 1 and I just go down
What's
the
the
list.
school?
Iowa.
From Iowa. Yeah, I was watching Jennings Dunker, and then I accidentally just watched the other side of the Iowa stuff. So I ended up following Caleb Wedgen there, but I just haven't watched a bunch of top 300 guys. You know what I'm saying? Because I just go down the board. So I'm really just learning from all of my peers here. You know, y'all will throw a name, and I'll eventually run into them.
Yeah.
By the time we get to April, I'll know all these.
You'll be
people.
all-
I know
You got Jack Indries.
Tight end out of Texas.
You a damn lie.
Yeah, Jack Indries.
We talked about this the other day.
Oh, injuries.
Injuries.
It
yeah,
sounded
remember?
like something different this morning. Okay, yeah, Jack Andrews. I know
Yeah.
Jack, yeah.
Him and
The tight end, ain't it?
Yep,
what was the other one?
Texas.
Ella Trash?
That's the doctor. Doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Ella Trash.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but sorry that I didn't have a lot to contribute. But you know, the Shrine do the top 300 thing. I know. Damn, all these Senior Bowl guys. We'll talk about that in the third segment.
Third segment. Yep.
But I'm just listening in for the Shrine Bowl.
All right, so I'll give you a name that I don't think Voch can do anything with, and does matter because it is the safety position. But
Okay.
Bishop Fitzgerald, USC, has anybody been on him yet?
Go ahead. Got it.
So Bishop Fitzgerald, that's somebody who was a quarterback in high school and somebody who transitioned over to safety and has done a nice job for USC. Was at NC State previously, transferred to USC last year, but played well and showed some good stuff at NC State as well. But you're talking about a guy who tackles well, somebody who'll play downhill, somebody who still displays some good ball skills. So if you're talking about just a safety option, somebody who's probably more of a mid-round, I don't know how he's going to test athletically, but if you want to talk about a mid-round safety, I think that's somebody that would be worth keeping eyes on because this team needs to find value buys on the defensive side on day 3, and he might be one of them.
For me, at the safety position, I'm sorry to cut you off. For me, at the safety position, Dylan Thieneman or bust. Like that's how I feel.
After Caleb,
Out of Oregon.
Downs, right?
After Caleb Downs. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
of course,
yeah.
of
Okay,
course.
I was just
So don't say
making sure.
Dylan Thieneman
Yeah.
or bust in a
I
Caleb
would draft
Downs
both.
draft.
I would draft both. I would draft both.
Neither
Like,
are part of the All-Star.
You would?
I would. Because I
Why?
think Caleb Downs has the versatility to where if you draft Thieneman, you can play them both on day 1.
So let me ask you a question, Nick, because I've watched a player.
Okay.
I've watched some guys, right? If you don't get Downs, because Downs does everything, what do you think about Ramsey from USC? Because he kind of
Kamari
does
Ramsey.
everything. Kamari Ramsey from USC, safety, because he does a little bit of everything. So if you miss out on Downs, would you be like, damn, dog, or would you just be looking for a guy like that?
I don't stack guys particularly
You don't
until
stack,
combine time. But if I had to do it today, I would go Downs, Thieneman, AJ Halsey out of LSU, then Kamari Ramsey, and then Emmanuel McNeil Warren, and then there's a big drop off. I like all 5 of those guys.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of all 5. Obviously, there's increments in between each of them that kind of differ, but I'd be fine with either or. I'm a big Kamari Ramsey guy myself.
You mentioned Kamari Ramsey out of USC. You mentioned AJ Halsey out of LSU. Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. All 3 of those guys are going to be at the Senior Bowl next week. So they're all Senior Bowl guys. It's going to be a really good safety class in terms of what's down there in Mobile. You don't get Caleb Downs and Dylan Thieneman. You don't get those 2 guys, which arguably are the top 2 guys in the class. But that next group of guys right there is all available for you next week. My question that I was going to bring back to Bobby here, you mentioned Bishop Fitzgerald. He played next to Kamari Ramsey. Both are high-end safety talents, both at USC. Does that play a factor in your evaluation at all whenever you're looking at both guys? Because like Nick said, you pair a lot of these good safeties together and they can pair off of each other. Both played well and both are probably going to be picked in this draft.
Yeah, I think they can. I think when you talk about safeties playing next to each other, frequently what you see is obviously if you have 2 of them, they can complement each other well, and you can do different things, and you can have more versatility along your defense. I don't necessarily see it as okay, so when you have 2 safeties next to each other, this person looks better than maybe they are.
Okay.
Like I don't see it like that. Typically, like I don't think of it as like, well, you've got this edge rusher who gets all this attention, so you're getting a lot of easier looks. I don't think it's exactly the same sort of thing. It makes your defense more versatile. It maybe allows you to lean into some traits and some abilities that you're stronger in and have them focus on that and kind of divvy up assignments. But no, I think that generally those are just 2 good players. I think that Fitzgerald is more likely to be available in your range because if you're just talking about where the Cowboys have picks right now and where these guys are probably going to go, I would assume Ramsey's going to be more of a day 2 guy and then Fitzgerald would be day 3.
Yeah. Has anybody watched Ahmad Moses at the safety spot
Yeah, shout
Safety
out
out
to,
of SMU.
Yeah, a local kid as well, South Oak Cliff. A really good kid. Yeah, I've had an opportunity of get to know him pretty well through the course of his high school and college career. A smart player and has really grown a lot too. I'm excited to see him in this environment against other Power 4 competition. Not that he wasn't getting that at SMU. It's the ACC though. To factor that in what you will. But I'm excited to see him in this environment.
I will say that one of the games that I got to call this year was SMU and Miami. When SMU upset Miami, who ultimately goes on to the national championship game. SMU won that game because of Ahmad Moses. He had multiple picks, including the game-sealing one, an interception that allowed for the empty possession at the start of overtime, and then end up in a rushing touchdown for the offense for SMU to win that game. Total playmaker, head hunter, ball hunter. He was one of the leading interception guys early in the season. Ended up in, I believe, the top 10 in that category as well by the end of the year. I mean, he's just an all-around playmaker. I'm interested to see, like you said, in the Shrine Bowl scenario, what he's going to show this week, because I think he's a name that could possibly rise draft boards a little bit. Any names that you've seen in terms of the Shrine Bowl, since we're still talking about what's happening upcoming this week, that you feel like could rise among some of the prospects that you've watched so far?
May I ask Nick a question about? I promise I'm being serious. Caden Wedge. I just Googled him. He's running back, receiver, and DB, and a return guy. He gonna do all that at the Shrine Bowl?
I'm very curious to see. He's listed as a receiver on the roster, but I would like to see him in some defensive scenarios. But I think it's mostly going to be receiver. I would have to imagine.
They just got him listed at all this on the Iowa website. So if he's going to be playing all that to just go do his thing and shoot a shot, I think that he's worth watching. So as somebody who hadn't watched a bunch of Shrine Bowl guys, he'll be a player that I would be interested to see what he does.
There's some intrigue there.
Yeah.
In terms of could ascend, I look at Golday, the linebacker. So we've seen a couple different guys with his traits before and his size sort of go up the board a little bit in past years. That had happened with Leighton in the past. I think Drew Sanders was a guy who had started kind of climbing up the board a little bit. I think that's somebody who, just because of his traits and him being at Cincinnati, maybe teams throughout the process, that they get to see him a little bit more and get eyes on him and feel like, all right, are we comfortable with some of the questions that maybe we have just related to his level of competition and things like that? Then Golday's somebody who I think could rise.
Since he played at Cincinnati, did you get a chance to look at Dante Corleone, the defensive tackle out of Cincy at all?
I've not watched him yet.
He's an interesting one too.
He's kind of one of those guys where it pairs together with a good linebacking core, and then he played really well in the interior. What did you like about him, or what did you see with him?
Yeah, evaluated him very briefly last year because I thought he was coming out last year, and then he took the extra year at Cincinnati. I would project him probably round 3, round 4. And I'm curious to see where exactly he lands, but the process is going to be really big for him because if you look at the defensive tackle class in general, there's a lot of room for a lot of these guys to move up. A guy like Amari Washington out of Oregon went back to school. Yeah. Dominique Orange out of Iowa State, I'm a fan of. But, you have some of these guys, whether it be like a Caden McDonald out of Ohio State, Christian Miller out of Georgia, and now Corleone out of Cincinnati, Albert Regis out of Texas A&M, who's another Shrine Bowl guy I think could rise. Which of these guys are going to kind of like stamp their day 2 value? And I think this is a really big opportunity for that.
There's a couple corners that I kind of like in this Shrine Bowl group that I think can maybe ascend a little bit. Tyreek Chappell from Texas A&M.
Okay.
Kind of up and down with health over his time there, but I like how aggressive he plays. Always kind of popped out early on film, especially in 2024 when I was watching some stuff last year on the A&M guys that panned out the way they panned out. I think 7, when he was on the field, played really well. So we're interested to see how he does in this setting. I think that this can really be a setting for him that's beneficial. Another guy, Jalen Gilbo out of Texas, another up and down sort of career. But when he was healthy as a true freshman, he was really talented and kind of just naturally made his way into the rotation throughout the rest of his career as well. And then at the edge rusher spot, we talked a little bit about some of these guys, but Tyreek Sapp from Florida felt like he kind of had a quiet year. A lot of these Florida guys felt like they had a quiet year. A little bit of a disappointing year for the Gators, but I think he's got plenty of talent. So interested to see if those 3 can kind of restamp themselves. And a couple other guys that Nick mentioned too, and Patrick Payton from LSU and Anthony Lucas from USC.
Back to the corner position, Sayer Wright out of Nebraska. I just think this is one of the more funnier notes in the class. He was in Space Jam 2. He's an actor as well. So he played LeBron's son in Space Jam 2.
What?
Sayer Wright. Yeah.
Draft him at 12.
We need that kind
He was
of
a ball hawk
Hollywood
this last year
talent.
for the Huskers.
Bronze
too.
kids usually get drafted in the second round.
Draft him at 12.
Sign him to a two-way deal.
Yeah.
He's going to play with South Bay.
Yeah.
He's get drafted by the Rams.
Drafted in the second round. Should have gone in the sixth.
Cowboys are going to strike a deal with the Arlington Renegades, whatever they are, Dallas Renegades. All right. When we come back, we've got some Twitter on the 20. Plus, later in the show, we're going to take a look at some of those the national championship contenders last night. Congratulations to Indiana winning their first ever national championship. And some of the guys that stood out in that game. We're going to get some in-depth scouting reports about those guys. We've mentioned the names a lot, but what are they bringing to the NFL draft? More to come with more of the Draft Show right after this.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're maxing out overhead presses, pushing through chest flies, or being the hero your golden retriever needs to carry them over that scary bridge, Smoothie King has the fuel to help you go all out. Build muscle and boost your recovery with 45 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar, and delicious customizable ingredients in the Gladiator Smoothie. Available in chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Only at Smoothie King.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
How about them Cowboys? And how about them Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls? Keep your game day celebrations going with real eggs, potatoes, cheese, and our savory Jimmy Dean sausage. And with 22 grams of protein per serving, you'll have enough energy to power you from early morning to the final whistle. The no-hassle, ready-in-minutes prep makes it easy. Just heat, eat, and cheer on those Cowboys. Get yours today. Jimmy Dean brand is proud to be the official protein of the Dallas Cowboys.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Back here on the Draft Show presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Also, auditions for the 2026 Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders open March 13th. Don't miss your chance to audition for America's Sweethearts. Learn more at DallasCowboyscheerleaders.com/auditions. Here's the thing. I love our sponsorship people upstairs, and I love everything that they do for us.
Yeah.
How many people are watching the draft show and are going to go try out for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders? I feel like that's maybe I don't know.
We're just talking about Jen.
If they're draft nuts, like I respect those people. That would be awesome. Yeah. If they're draft nuts and then they go and
Who would they have to draft, Kyle, for you to go try out to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader?
Ooh, for me to go through the audition process, Caleb Downs.
Shake on it.
Absolutely.
All right.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not shaking on that. That would be bad. You don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. I know, but nobody wants to see that. All right. When we talk about the Shrine Bowl and stuff like that, I want to put pause on talking about the national championship. Now I'm just flustered. Now you got me moving in the wrong direction. It's time for Twitter on the 20. Thank you. That mental image is terrible. Chris Beam, save me. It's time
Twitter
for
on the 20.
Twitter on the 20. You guys are the worst today. All right. Twitter on the 20. First things first, we are talking about Shrine Bowl stuff. Is there a quarterback in the Shrine Bowl process? This is a question from Tony, by the way.
What up, Tom?
Is there a quarterback in the Shrine Bowl process that intrigues you going into this weekend?
I do not want to hear Bobby's comment on this. Cade Klubnik out of Clemson.
Clemson.
I loved him coming into the year. And he just had an awful season at Clemson. Clemson was just bad football all the way through. But I want to see him in these settings throughout the course of this process because I think he's made for these settings. I'm still a believer in Cade Klubnik. I'm still a believer of him being an NFL starter. I am, and I want to see that on display starting with the Shrine Bowl this week. I also like Mark Gronowski out of Iowa. Had a very fun year at South Dakota State before transferring over to Iowa. More of your dual threat kind of pure runner type guy, but I'm curious to see what he can do through the air in this process. But there's a ton of other ones. Haynes King, which I'm sure somebody will touch on here.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to watching Cade Klubnik because I've seen everything I need to see about Cade Klubnik. Been right about that from the jump with Nick. No, Haynes King is the one who I thought of. Yeah, like I mean, just because he's so unique, just in terms of the skill set and the trajectory and where his career's taken him, and going from A&M to Georgia Tech, and the fact that he's damn near 40 years old at this point. It feels like I think he'll be 26 next year as a rookie, or 25 or 26. He's an older player, but yeah, I'm interested to see how. I haven't even done a deep study on him yet, but just being familiar with his game and like who he's been throughout his college career, I'm going to be fascinated to see how he handles the process.
I like Kyron Drones out of Virginia Tech. Kind of not hasn't made a ton of noise. Didn't put up incredible numbers that'll blow you away or anything like that. But it's a guy from Shadow Creek High School in the Houston area. I remember covering him coming out. Went to Baylor initially, then he started the last 3 years for Virginia Tech. Number one, I like it because when he throws a touchdown, like a long touchdown, they call it a drone strike. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And it only happened like twice.
It did. But he's a dual threat player. He can throw it and he can run. 100 rushes twice in his career. 100 carries twice in his career. In 23, and then this past year, he's got 22 career rushing touchdowns at Baylor and at Virginia Tech, and then 45 career passing touchdowns. So he's an experienced player who's played a lot of football. Has it been at a high level? Not all the time, but I think all the tools are there. 6'2", 235. I think in the right spot, he can develop to be a solid player for you.
I want to be legitimate. I don't want to just troll on Klubnik. Yeah, I dead serious don't want to just troll. He is by far, in all likelihood, just tools traits, the strongest one in the group. He was top 5 recruit coming out of
1 overall.
Yeah, he was way up at the top. And I mean, I know at Clemson it didn't pan out the way that it was thought to be. And
they thought he was going to be Trevor Lawrence.
And Clemson had a great run of quarterbacks who came in there and they either maxed out their potential or they played over it, whether it be going back to Taj Boyd and Deshaun Watson and then to Trevor Lawrence. And so he was a little bit of the disappointment there. So I guess the only thing I wonder is, what do you think was the reason why Clemson wasn't able to max him out the same way?
Yeah. I don't have an answer for that.
Do you think? But when you've watched him, do you still see I still see the flash of what it is that I liked about him? It's just it's not consistent enough. Or
probably the worst thing that happened to Cade Klubnik is that Texas tape that he put up last year in the playoffs, because it was so incredible, and it has tied me to him, and I can't that can't escape my mind. No matter how bad it has looked for Cade Klubnik this year, I think back to the throws that he made in that game. I'm like, man, that potential is still there. I still see that, and if he goes to the right system, can get developed for a couple of years, I'm in. I get him in the right quarterback system. Cade Klubnik's going to be all right. I'm still a believer in that. I did glance over a Shrine Bowl guy. Can I mention another one real quick? 7-year guy, 4 years at Maine and 3 years at UConn, and this last year had 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns to 1 interception. Joe Fagnano out of UConn. I think this is going to be your day 3 guy that maybe not a lot of people are talking about right now, but has the required size at 6'4", 225 pounds, and I'm excited to see him this week at the Shrine Bowl. I think he's going to impress some people.
There you go. This is from a different Tony. He said, you guys have talked about moving down in the draft multiple times, but is there any case scenario where Dallas could possibly trade up in the draft?
I don't think they have the capital to do it this year.
If you wanted to package a couple of future picks, maybe.
You'd have to package future picks, or it would have to be a first and a player. It would have to be somebody that a team said, okay, well, I'll move back, and you've also got somebody that you're willing to unload. You not that this would be the case, but you get a new coordinator in here and they go, I'm not particularly fond of Savone Revel, and I'd like to explore options there. Just as an example, I'm not saying that would be the case.
Sure.
But then, if you called somebody and said, move up a few spots and Revel, does that do it for somebody? Or say, move up a few spots and Revel and a 5th next year or something like that. It would have to be that. But you'd have to really, really love somebody, which would probably Downs or somebody like that.
It would
go ahead.
No, you got it.
You would probably be the person to answer this, Bobby. When was the last time there was a draft day trade that involved a player in the first round?
It would have been
because I feel like that's way more rare. Than
where it's a player and then a pick. Brown, AJ Brown.
Yeah, that did happen on the draft day.
Yeah, that was AJ Brown getting swapped, and then they picked Traylon Burks as their replacement.
I don't remember.
That didn't work out.
It could have been somebody else that I'm not remembering, but that's the most recent one I remember was Burke or was Brown.
That's a significant one.
I vaguely remember, but I think the Eagles and the Saints did something goofy where like they swapped their first two and somebody moved back a little bit. So it's kind of like I'll trade you 12 and 20 for 8 and one of your thirds or something.
Something to try and like, okay, here's the payoff for you moving back, but we also still pick up capital.
I'm gonna overpay for 8, but give me something back here to help me, make up for it. I could see that, but would you want to move though?
You would have to be falling in love with somebody, and who would that be?
If you're telling me I get Downs in a second, if I trade my 2 firsts to move up, and that if you're telling me I get Downs in a second, sure.
Yeah.
There's 2 players I would trade up for: Caleb Downs, David Bailey. That's it.
Okay. Who would you move up for?
Downs and Reese for me. I still love Reese. I still love Arvell Reese from Ohio State. Both from Ohio State.
Nick, would you move up?
Yeah, Downs. Downs is the only one I'd have the conversation about.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if it's, and I'm just trying to look here, like you say.
I'll send next year's 3 and a 5 to move up one spot to get Bain if he's there.
If the Giants, which the Giants may not be willing to do this, but if the Giants said, we'll trade you 5 for 12 and 20, we'll give you 5 and 37.
Run that back.
12 and 20 for 5 and 37.
So you get early day 2, and you still get 2 picks overall, but you would pick at 5 and 37 instead of 12 and 2. 12.
I'd rather have the 2 first-round picks.
I think so. Me too.
I don't think you need a top 5 pick in this scenario.
Who's your besides Downs? Who's like at the top for you for?
It would be
defense?
We would be talking David Bailey's or Ruben Baines. But
so
like,
if I tell you that becomes Bailey and Thieneman.
Or you can keep your picks, trade back from 20, and then you get another player in the 20s and Thieneman.
Got to find a dancing partner. And I don't know that there's obvious ones behind you.
The thing about me is like when you go through, I think from like 1 to 12. Those guys are really close together for me. There's not like oh my God, these top 5 players are in a different echelon for me. I think right now they're just too close together. And that's kind of the nature of this entire first-round class, in my opinion. These guys who have first-round grades, there's not a lot of separation for them.
Just to play devil's advocate here, though, everybody's in consensus talking about Caleb Downs being one of those guys that might be the upper echelon player. I think if you can secure yourself an upper echelon player and still have a pick early in the second, then you might still end up with 2 guys that are
Downs transcends. The question is, does his position? A lot of people may not. It may feel like, Downs could be clearing away that, like, at his specific position, Downs is one of the best, or like, hey, that's somebody who's not just like everybody else in his section, but it's like, but his position is safety, what I value. And this organization typically has not had a big value placed on drafting safeties very high. They prefer to go the alternate route of like looking for day 3 guys or looking for guys in free agency who might be more value-wise. Sometimes that has worked for them. Finding Hooker and Curse and Wilson to work together worked for them for a couple of years in Dan Quinn's defense. And then other times it's not worked for them very well. And so I do think that Downs would be somebody they might view differently, because Downs, I think they view as like, you're not just a safety to us. You are. Go back and listen to the media availability the week of the Chargers game, and listen to the way that Schottenheimer talked about the way they used Derwin James.
Yeah.
I think if they were to take Downs, it would be with that in mind of like, you could be a nickel, you could be a safety, you could. Nate Newton has the great quote that should get Darren Woodson in the Hall of Fame all the time, but he says about Darren Woodson, he says, we did not have defensive packages. We had Darren Woodson.
Yeah.
Darren Woodson changed the complexion of our defense. What he would come out there, that would dictate what our personnel looked like, because Darren would just do whatever job needed to be done that you would normally have somebody sub in for. Yeah. And so he's like, Darren made a huge difference that way, and he should be in the Hall of Fame just for that. Similarly, I think, not that Caleb Downs will be Darren Woodson, but Caleb Downs, the idea would be you can change what our defense looks like from snap to snap without even having to sub personnel.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this. What's more likely to happen? Because I've seen different mock drafts. Brugler just dropped one last week. What's more likely to happen in the top 7 picks? A run on offensive guys or a run on the defensive guys? Because where you think Downs would fall matters in what you would trade up to go get, though, right? Because I was looking at Dane's mock, and it's like he had the 2 tackles going early, like 2 receivers going early, quarterback, whatever. And I was like, all right, if Downs gets to like 9, that's easier to trade up.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't need to package both firsts in there at all.
But if you feel like Downs ain't gonna make it past 5, like that's a different trade up conversation. So what's more likely, y'all think?
I think more likely is probably the defense.
I think
guys going on a run.
Yeah, I keep looking at the thing that I don't trust because everybody's like, well, one of these guys who follow you, I don't trust that I feel like there's going to be a run on edge.
Yeah.
And I feel like those guys like Bain and Bailey, like I feel like there will be a run on those players and you're going to be standing there and going like, well, I thought one of these 3 or 4 edge rushers would be here and they all went in the top 10. Like I feel like there's a chance that kind of thing happens.
You need these teams to fall in love with these top 2 receivers, Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State and Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. You need teams to fall in love with them and hope that they swing on them top 10. I would even throw in a Mekhi Lemon out of USC. Hopefully somebody falls in love with him enough to go that high. I'm not a buyer, but I hopefully there's a team up there that could possibly do so.
You now, especially with Dante Moore going back to school too, you need Ty Simpson to have a good pre-draft process. Because right now Ty Simpson feels like, and this all changes obviously as it goes along, but Ty Simpson right now feels like he's topping out in a lot of these discussions as teens right now behind Dallas's first pick. Like that's the most optimistic view of him. You need him to have a good process. You need somebody to Michael Penix him and go, hey, you know what? We'll take Ty Simpson at 8. Yeah. Like you need somebody to fall in love like that.
He needs to complete every pass in his pro day. No incompletions.
Yeah. Cowboys fan.
So Cowboy
on Twitter says comparing this draft. Yeah, just one. Comparing this draft to last year's draft, does it feel like the depth doesn't match the same as last year? I'm looking at you, Nick. I know you.
The depth was
deeper.
really good last year. That's the difference. And it's tough to compare that, but I think the depth is good in this draft. I'll say that. But last year was a really, really good draft. Like you had guys like Kyle Monangai going in the 7th round, and there were multiple starters that came out of day 3, and that was kind of the expectation going in. But again, I still do like the depth in this class the more I dive into it, especially at positions like linebacker. I know I've mentioned the receivers on day 3 are fascinating. The interior offensive lineman. There's some positions that I do like that I think are deep, but it's not as deep as last year's. Last year's was a unique class in my opinion.
I think running back and edge ran long last year. I think you can get another shot at edge to run long this year. I think linebacker is going to run longer this year too. There's a lot of corners I like earlier now than I liked last year. I like the safeties early this year than last year, but last year probably got more day 3 depth, I would say. But I'm kind of mad that the Cowboys don't have a 2nd and 3rd round pick because there's a lot of cats that I like in the 2nd and 3rd.
I remember last year feeling like there were like 20 receivers that were like, oh, they could go sometime in the first 2 days. Yeah. Like it wouldn't necessarily that they would, but you felt like somebody could have a case, or it wouldn't be the most ridiculous thing that somebody would sneak in there. I remember my board just looking like that 3rd round was just receiver in there. And so, I wouldn't say it's deep like that, but it's definitely, it's like what you've seen in the last few COVID era drafts, which is a lot of guys who stayed longer and, timelines that got delayed. You're not finding it super top heavy. Like next year's projected to be really top heavy.
Yeah.
But you're not finding it super top heavy, but you're finding like, yeah, it's solid. Like you feel like, I feel like there's decent depth across all 3 days so far from what I've been able to see. And so, I wouldn't say it's as deep as last year, but it's certainly not anything where I'm like, man, this is just a thin draft where I don't know that you're going to be able to find anything when you're picking on day 3.
Yeah. All right, that does it for Twitter on the 20. Great questions as always. We'll do it again on Thursday. One of the Twitter on the 20 questions came from Matt. He said, did last night's game change your opinion on any of the players and prospects that were a part of it? We're going to answer that question. Indiana wins the national championship. We're going to give some in-depth scouting reports about some of the names that you may have seen on the field last night and may have heard on this show through the first couple of episodes. More of the Draft Show right after this.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're maxing out overhead presses, pushing through chest flies, or being the hero your golden retriever needs to carry them over that scary bridge, Smoothie King has the fuel to help you go all out. Build muscle and boost your recovery with 45 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar, and delicious customizable ingredients in the Gladiator Smoothie. Available in chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Only at Smoothie King.
How about them Cowboys? And how about them Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls? Keep your game day celebrations going with real eggs, potatoes, cheese, and our savory Jimmy Dean sausage. And with 22 grams of protein per serving, you'll have enough energy to power you from early morning to the final whistle. The no-hassle, ready-in-minutes prep makes it easy. Just heat, eat, and cheer on those Cowboys. Get yours today. Jimmy Dean brand is proud to be the official protein of the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Ready? Y'all be shouting.
Back here on the Draft Show, presented by Miller Lite,
Y'all be
the official beer of the Dallas Cowboys, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Most action-packed, this is for you, Voch, most action-packed motorsports experience of the world returns to Arlington. Head to AT&T Stadium on Saturday, February 14th for Monster Jam. Get ready to cheer, scream, and be amazed as massive Monster Jam trucks take over Arlington. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium.
No better way to spend Valentine's Day than
No
at Monster
better
Jam.
way.
Yeah, for sure, man. Y'all go get your tickets, man.
Yeah. I bet your significant other will be all for it. Just make it happen.
Yeah, you never know.
Monster Jam. Yeah, you never know.
I'm not kidding. My wife is genuinely looking to get tickets for the girls. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. It's fun. We've already had that conversation. Sorry, Voch. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I watched some videos, did my research. People told me I would love it. I found out that Derek Eagleton was into it. So,
Yeah.
You know, me and him would go chill in his luxury suite and watch Monster Jam or something.
He's got a luxury suite.
You ain't
Where's
know?
my invite?
He don't tell you nothing.
No, he does
Eat
not.
ceviche and watch the twerking trucks.
Caviar.
What do you think they got at Voch's suite?
Don't get canceled. Move on.
All right.
I'm about to say some crazy. Move on.
All right, 27-21 Indiana caps off a perfect season, 16-0. Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, leads the Hoosiers to a national championship. I want to go through some of these names that we may have talked about already, but let's actually give an in-depth scouting report on what they bring to an NFL franchise. Let's start with the number 1 overall pick, most likely, in Mendoza, the quarterback for Indiana. What does he do well from an X's and O's standpoint, and what is he going to bring to the NFL?
He's efficient. He's smart. He high completion percentage is evident of that, but he always makes the right decision. It's a heavy RPO offense, and he runs it really well. They did it more than I think they've done it all season in terms of just straight RPO game last night against Miami. And I think the pressure getting to him was what made it a little bit more difficult, because then if he can't get to that first read, it made him have to run out of the pocket. He's improved as a deep ball thrower, but I still think that needs some work. But short to intermediate game, I think this kid's really good. He has better athleticism than some people give him credit for. I think that was exhibited on was it 4th down or 3rd down and 5? 4th and 5. That
the run.
He runs and extends into the end zone. That's going to be on Indiana clips and memories for lifetimes. He can get out of the pocket, make some plays with his feet. Has some, but not many issues with ball security. Would like to see him add some weight to his stance, some more hits, but I think he's worthy of being a number 1 overall pick.
I love Fernando Mendoza. I think he's not only the guy that you want your daughter to date, he's the guy you want to lead your franchise back from the depths of hell. And I think he's going to do that for Las Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a bar. You have to send a certain type of player to Las Vegas to make sure that it works, and he is that perfect certain type of player. I'm curious to see who they hire and what that ends up looking like for them. That's going to be big, but and they have to get an offensive line in front of him. But I'm such a Fernando Mendoza believer, and I think he's going to have a long career in this league.
There's a reason why the comp, and it's not just the interviews and the mannerisms and the demeanor. There's a reason why Kirk Cousins gets thrown around with him a lot, I think. And it's just because it's a lot of similar play style and a guy who I think is technically really sound and really advanced. And I don't know that there's a ceiling for him to be a guy we ever talk about as being like in a conversation 10 years from now when we're going, who are the top 5 quarterbacks? I don't know that his name's getting thrown around there consistently. I don't want to doubt him because he's shown so much growth already. I remember last year when he was transferring to Indiana, I think Nick was sitting on our show on 105 through the Fan, and it came up the odds on number 1, like the odds for number 1 pick favorite back in the summer, and Mendoza was the best odds to get picked number 1.
Wow.
And we're all like, really? Like, I mean, he's good, but like that just seems like a little rich. So I mean, he definitely grew more than I thought he would be able to. But to me, it's all about with him. It's going to be about the IQ and the processing and the touch and the mechanics and how clean everything is. I don't know that we're ever going to talk about him being anything other than just like at his peak, kind of like, yeah, he's one of the 8 to 10 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's somebody you absolutely can win with, I think. So if your franchise is in need of a quarterback, go there. I would not expect, hey, I'm getting Joe Burrow when I'm picking him here. I'm getting Josh Allen when I'm picking him here, because that's not going to be him. But he is absolutely somebody who can lead a franchise to a Super Bowl, during the course of his career, just because of how sharp and smart and good his decision making is already, and how good his touch is on some of these throws. And so, no, I'm a fan of Fernando Mendoza. That's a first round pick and worthy of being a number 1 player. I like him more than I like last year's number 1 pick, Cam Ward. So I'm a fan of his.
And this might be the only time we really talk about him, because he's not going to be a big topic of conversation outside of being the number 1 overall pick. He'll be the conversation through the entire summer and into training camp and into the preseason, and then, of course, going into week 1. But here from a Cowboys standpoint and from a draft show standpoint, we're worried about some of the other guys, but did want to get it on tape and kind of hear some of the impact there. Now, what about some of the guys he throws the football to? I know, Voch, you were very big on Elijah Surratt.
Yes, sir.
The big-bodied wide receiver. You have Omar Cooper, who also had an impact with Indiana as well. I mean, tell us a little bit about Surratt, and have you watched Cooper as well?
Haven't watched Cooper,
okay.
But Surratt, route runner, size. He plays everywhere, but I like him in the slot, just as a big slot, nuancy, quarterback-friendly guy. I think he's Keenan Allen, great hands. He kind of bobbled some passes yesterday or whatever.
He had a bad drop last night.
As soon as I come on the radio, as soon as I come on podcast, hey man, he don't drop nothing. He go and do that or whatever. But if you watch his 12 or 13 or 16 games altogether, man, you come away feeling that he's like safe, secure, big plays, red zone, nasty. I love Surratt, and if I was irresponsible, I know that, a couple of days ago I said I'd take him at 20. I was exaggerating. I was just excited about watching him. You know what I mean? But he'll go in day 2 somewhere. Somewhere.
Omar Cooper had one of the best catches of the season against Penn State in one of the more high-pressure situations. If anyone hadn't seen that, that was one of the best catches all year.
The back of the end zone game winner?
Yeah. And a couple of these defenders that I like from Indiana, I know we've talked about D'Angelo Pons quite a bit. His size is going to be a question during the draft process, 5'9", 175, but obviously plays much bigger and steps up and can lay a hat on somebody. I'm a big fan of Aiden Fisher, the linebacker, Indiana. And you need a guy that can command your defense, be that signal caller. I think he could step in and do that. I don't know about day 1, but he has special teams ability on day 1 for sure, and can have the potential to be that linebacker starter for you. Again, I just like this linebacker class.
I want to go back to Pons, because this guy's he's making it really hard on me. He's making it so hard on me. 5'9", 170 scares the hell out of me. Yeah. It really does. I don't like either of you guys. It really scares the hell out of me. And with the amount of zone coverage that Indiana's defense plays, I question whether or not, is he going to be a guy that it's only going to work if he goes to the right place? It's only going to work if he finds the right scheme. other than that, man, this kid can play. I mean, like Nick said, he plays bigger than his size. He flies all over the place. He made big plays left and right for Indiana, not just in the college football playoff, but really throughout the entire season. One of those players that, just naturally you get excited about, and because he's a good football player. But again, the size is what it scares me a little bit. And can he play inside as a slot corner because of that size? I don't know if he moves as well laterally as he does north and south, but he can trigger to the ball really quickly. But the drawback and the reason why I'm kind of okay with where I've got him is sometimes last night when those bigger receivers, those linemen get downfield on him, he gets moved out of the way too easily. And Miami started taking advantage of that later and later on in the game. That's why their offense started to have more success. So it's so tough for a guy like that, but when the plays are there, he makes them.
Let me ask y'all, what do y'all do with the 5'9", 170 corner that whoops everybody in all the competition, all the big? He got this playoff run, this stupid run of Ohio State, like Bama, Oregon, Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's NFL competition. Like, what do you do with the 5'9", 170 guy that's doing
just
against
balled out?
So whooping feet, forced fumbles, pass deflections, INTs against all these guys. What do you do with that guy?
Put 15 pounds on him.
Know what I'm saying, Nick Harry? Draft him.
Yeah, here's the only thing, and this is I know this is something that a lot of personnel people look at whenever they're looking at players like that, is that they try to look at, like, it doesn't have to be the same type of player or anything else, but like, find me somebody at that position, at that size, who has made it. Like, that they always want to look and just go, like, do I have a history of somebody being able to hit that? That was a big question with Emmanuel Forbes. Like, was anybody Forbes' size, had anybody ever hit like that? Like not hit like physically, but like, had anybody ever hit as a draft pick like that before? And so I think that's just the thing, is that with Pons, you're going to have to find teams who just look at it and go, like, can we find somebody like this? You can find people who are 5'10" or whatever, but generally those guys, Desmond King is going to be 5'10", run 4.6, but Desmond King is also 200 pounds and can kind of play a little bigger. You can find people who are 175, but that's
why I say put 15 pounds on him and see if he can be Quandre.
Drake Kirkpatrick, I think, was 180 when he was coming out. Drake Kirkpatrick, but length and like had that sort of ability. So some of the size and weight limitations, like, you're going to have to look through history and just go, where have I seen this succeed at the NFL level?
You were saying Quandre Diggs?
Yeah, and try to make him that if that's what you potentially believe in with Pons. Another one from, I can't remember if this was last year or 2 years ago now, but Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. He was super light coming into the process, ended up in Baltimore. He's been all right, hasn't been great. The weight thing I think is more concerning than the height.
Is that why there's probably not a ton of overall okay, let me rephrase. Ton of individual hype out of a defense that was so good overall. I mean, that was Indiana's defense was the reason. I know Mendoza was incredible, Surratt was incredible, the running game was good, and the offensive line did their thing. But the defense was the spinal cord of the Indiana national championship run. Yet you only see a couple names floating around there, Pons and a couple others.
Mikhail Kamara, he blocked the punt last night. He's been really good. He was one of those James Madison transfers. I think they had 7 that were major contributors on that team. I'm a fan of his. I think he's kind of a day 3 guy. Reminds me a lot of the Colorado State kid last year. If y'all remember, there was a
what position?
It was a defensive end. I'm just blanking on the name as of right now. So maybe somebody in the chat will have it for me. But with Mikhail Kamara, he's violent. He can beat you inside. He can beat you out. I think he can move up and down the line a little bit too. And then you saw the special teams value that he brought.
Mohamed Kamara?
Same.
I was thinking
same
Kamara.
Last name.
Yeah.
Kamara,
same last name.
I was like, there's no way Kamara is the name.
Kamara and Kamara. They're very similar play types. And so I'm curious to see what that looks like for Mikhail Kamara.
I think on the Indiana front, it is still... There's going to be a little bit of... Saban talked it a couple weeks ago, where he's like, I'm on the golf courses in Alabama, and everybody's like, we're going to destroy Indiana, because they're like, that's a basketball school. Like there's still a little bit of confirmation bias or preconceived notions that exist of just like, yeah, but it's Indiana. like of just like, yeah, that's great that they scrappy, they got it together, but like, Gonzaga basketball players don't always make it either. Like, I mean, like there's a little bit of that thought, I think, of just people still saying that's great that they built a team, but did they build a team that succeeds at the college level instead of looking at what they potentially could be at the next level? Like, I mean, yeah, we already talked about Mendoza. That's number one pick. Aiden Fisher, the linebacker. That's somebody who I think is going to be an NFL linebacker for a long time. And so, I mean, they've got players, they got guys out there, but I think there's just still a little bit of thought of like, yeah, but it's a team. It's a unit that was cohesive. That's not necessarily a bunch of stars.
And I think what drives that theory is the fact that so many of these guys have been together since the JMU days, or they've played 2-3 years together at Indiana now. And
right. Do teams look at it and say, like, oh, yeah, there were 20 NFL players on James Madison 2 years ago?
Yeah. Right. And I think that's what's going to hold a lot of teams back. And I think that's going to be a knock on a lot of these Indiana players coming out. I think that your Mendozas and the Fishers of the world, they'll get good grades because of how well they've played and the traits that they have. And I think Fisher, you guys made a great call on Fisher. He can be the alpha of a defense, and I think he'll be an NFL linebacker for a long time too. But other guys like a Pons or some of those other defenders, or even some of the offensive linemen, do you maybe worry a little bit about, okay, is this just because they've been doing the same thing over and over and over again, and this is how they know to play football? It's only one way to do it. I'm not saying they can't learn. Don't hate me, Indiana fans. Congratulations. But is that going to be something that maybe makes you hesitate a little bit?
Shout out to Jordan on Twitter, who just threw the name out that D'Angelo Pons. Like, if you're looking for has that succeeded at the NFL before, Marcus Jones at the Patriots.
Oh, that's
when he was coming out of Houston, he was 5'9", 173.
Yeah.
So that's if you're looking for has that body type succeeded for it, that's one.
One last thing to add about Indiana. We talked about, I think, in the show on Thursday. Day 3, you're going to be searching for these guys that can provide special teams value to you on day 1. There is no program in America that was as psychotic about special teams this year than Indiana. And Kurt Signetti was a big part of that. So you're going to see a lot of these guys, I think, at Indiana end up in round 5, 6, 7. Guys that, might not even have draftable grades as far as their position go. Don't do that.
I was just trying to draw them off sides.
Yeah, but no, I think you're going to see a lot of these guys because of their special teams value.
Sounds like a lot of Indiana players are going to end up with the Rams then.
That might end up being dangerous. They've got some
Patriots.
guys there.
Patriots have
Patriots, yeah.
Psychotic special teams group too.
A couple of them for sure. Definitely not. Never mind. When you look at Miami, it's very vast, and I know we've already kind of gone through Ruben Bain. We've already talked about Mesidor a little bit as well, those edge rushers. But anybody from Miami that you look at and you say, hey, they're NFL talent as well. Different group, because it's more of the individual love as opposed to the unit love that you saw from Indiana.
Tell me about your offensive lineman, Nick.
Francis Mauangoa, I thought, had a fantastic night last night.
Yeah, he played well.
It was the left tackle that was getting beat to hell. The right tackle, Francis Mauangoa, I think that's a top 5, top 7 pick. I think he's going to end up being there, and rightfully 1. So. I want to see him shape his body a bit better. His body's built a little bad, but I think once you get into a rookie OTA, rookie minicamp, get an offseason program going for him. Miami's got a great strength program, so I don't want to knock that, but I think his body does need a little bit of shaping. But that's literally the only knock I'm nitpicking as far as Francis Mauangoa goes. And then our guys Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain each had a sack last night. So big fan of those guys.
I'm going to continue beating the door down for Keontae Scott at Miami, the slot corner. The only knock I have on him is that he's going to be 25 by the time the season starts.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's it. He plays like a linebacker. I don't think he had his best game last night, but he did have a couple plays where he ends up in the backfield and stops the Indiana run game. He's not afraid to hit at all. And then, of course, the instincts that he has, you think about the Ohio State game where he had the pick 6. This Miami defense got so much better when he came back from injury down the backstretch of the season. I don't think they are in a national championship game if Keontae Scott doesn't come back before the college football playoff. I think he was that much of a difference maker for them in the secondary, and I think he can make that same kind of difference in the NFL.
What round do you take him? I'm asking everybody.
I would be okay in the second with him.
Keontae Scott. I'm asking everybody. What round do you take him?
Day 2.
Yeah, I'm thinking day 2. I haven't finalized a grade yet or stacked him yet, but
I think he's a safety, man.
I think the concern with Scott is I wonder if he's just jack of all trades, master of none. Like, there's a little bit of that factor that exists with him of just like, well, he does like all these different things really well, but like, does he do anything enough at like a top level that you feel like comfortable being able to just commit him somewhere? I think you're right. I think there's a very good chance that he's a safety.
I think someone's going to talk themselves into Carson Beck.
I was just about to ask the question. You have to.
You don't have to.
You really
do not have to.
You really don't,
You don't have to.
I
but
will say
somebody
this.
will. Somebody will talk themselves into it on day 3 as a Flyer.
I will say this. Last throw of the season aside, he made some big time throws last night.
Yeah.
I will say that he kept them in that game. And there's moments for Carson Beck over the course of the last 3 seasons of him being a starter that's on tape that you see some really high highs. I think someone's going to take a swing on him round 3 or round 4. I could see that.
I missed post-game interviews last night. Did he throw anybody under the bus as he did their first 2 losses of the season, where it was his receiver's fault the first time, then it was his coach's fault the next time? That is that's not necessarily somebody that I feel like
I haven't noticed that. That's fascinating.
running the organization, like being the face and running the program. I've never felt like Carson Beck had it. There have been way too many examples, I think, publicly even, of him at a podium throwing people under a bus where it's like, you better fix that fast.
He's an extremely volatile figure. I mean, it is so up and down across the board, and so is his game, for that matter.
Somebody thought that was sorry.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is you don't really know what you're going to get when it comes to Carson Beck. So it's not going to be I'd be shocked if it's day 2. You said 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
But when you get into day 3 and there's a list of quarterbacks that are already off the board, you could throw a pick at him and say, the upside is there. Can we limit the downside? And that's what you got to do with Carson
You
Beck.
taking Diego Pavia or Carson Beck first?
Oh,
Dear God.
that's a nightmare
I'm
scenario.
forfeiting my pick.
Yeah, like I would rather just
I'm just not
Carson Beck,
anybody.
when they lost to SMU, his quote on the podium of the game after they're asking why he didn't do certain things, and he said SMU's shown the same thing the whole time. He said, I don't know, I just execute the play that's called.
Damn.
Yeah, it's
That's tough, man.
pretty straightforward. Well, you were going to say something there, Voch?
Nope. Made my point. You did great. You did.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Shouts
it.
out to you, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks, Voch. All right. That does it for us here on the Draft Show. We will be back on Thursday. We'll preview a little bit more of the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl as well. All-Star games starting this weekend. Practices getting underway here at the Star in Frisco on Saturday as well. For Voch Lombardi, Nick Harris, Tommy Yarrish, Bobby Bell, Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from the Draft Show. We'll see you on Thursday.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!